And welcome to Onesies, a podcast of one season wonders, blunders, and 60th anniversary specials. My name's Andrew.
My name's Emily.
And we are talking about The Giggle, the third of three. Well, I mean, does the fourth one count? Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials. We don't know yet if the next one counts. We'll find out on Christmas on Disney Plus, because it'll say whether or not it's one of the specials.
It's the Christmas special, so it's a different special.
Okay, if you're sure.
I'm pretty sure. Like I was sure about Wilf.
Wow. Okay. Hello, Emily.
Hi. My name's Emily.
And so we're talking about The Giggle. This is gonna go great.
So I watched it twice.
Okay.
I enjoyed it both times. My hesitation about Neil Patrick Harris, while well-founded, did not come to fruition in this. No, I thought he was good. He was adequately campy. I don't know whose decision it was to make him German, but that was weird.
Well, I mean, they're a bunch of fucking Nazis, so that's why.
He's a creature outside of time and space, though.
Yes, but he likes Nazis.
Fair enough.
Hence what he does in the future. He's a classical liberal, if you would. He listens to John Cleese's podcast. Okay, so when we last left the Doctor and Donna, they had arrived in modern-day London to not find Donna and her family waiting because, well, now we don't know. So history got changed. And we see that at the beginning of this episode when we meet Neil Patrick Harris, when a gentleman who does not pass the paper bag test for the British goes in to buy a toy for his employer because they are about to make the first TV broadcast and they need to have something to film, basically.
Yes.
And so this is historically accurate, I believe, in that the Doctor did indeed save us from this in an alternate timeline.
Yes.
So he buys a doll called a Stooky Bill, which is a real doll, and they take it and they televise Stooky Bill. And there's a giggle that the gentleman who purchased it hears in his head. And then do we just cut straight to the opening titles?
Yeah.
But before this, we've met Neil Patrick Harris as the
toy maker.
Well, he does confirm he makes the toys out of dead women's hair.
Yeah.
So
she won't be needing that hair anymore.
Ever again. And he manages to be a little racist to the guy who comes in. And he drops his accent for the racism because the toy maker likes being a white man, which means he's a Nazi. Which if you're proud of being a white man, aren't you de facto? I mean, you're a white supremacist. So the first time I watched this, I noticed the obvious social commentary a lot more than the second time. The second time I noticed a lot more of the sort of the, not even the plot beats, but just the acting response, particularly from Tennant. So then
he's so good.
So good. Which in a way that he's never gotten to be in Doctor Who before, which is very nice for him.
Yeah.
And for Catherine Tate too, that they actually get to show some range. So we then do the credits, and then we cut to the present day where Donna and the Doctor are running around chaotic London. Cars are crashing into each other. A plane is crashing. Donna is pushing an extra in a wheelchair who they don't even give a good establishing shot. It was
pretty rushed, is my understanding.
Okay.
That it was like a very last minute thing.
Okay.
Sadly.
I feel like they should have been like Disney we need an extra 35 grand so Donna can be standing there holding a wheelchair. Instead of Donna referring to the wheelchair and then us seeing it again in the next scene from a distance.
Yeah. With tufts of white hair coming out of the top of it.
At the very end, too. So we cut to, I mean, was there a previously on? Was Wilf in the previously on?
There wasn't a previously on, I don't think. I think it just was a hard open. And the doctor is talking to a guy in the street who is like trying to stop traffic and trying to get to the heart of the matter, like what is going on. And this social commentary, I'm so glad it doesn't they don't linger on it, right? So the reasoning is everybody thinks that they're right. And so chaos has taken over. So this random person in the street is, I pay my taxes pay for this road. I can't drive, but I have every right to be here as much as this car that is barreling toward me, honking and screaming and whatever. And the doctor is like, what the fuck? Something has infiltrated their minds.
They all became libertarians overnight. So we then, very conveniently, Unit shows up with helicopters and says, Doctor. And the doctor says, oh, let's go on our adventure. So they fly to the Avengers Tower. Now, you haven't seen the Avengers movies, so you don't know, but that's the Avengers Tower that
I've been to Disneyland.
Okay. They fly to the Avengers Tower. It's the most that we've seen.
It's the Shard, right? It's the Shard.
No, they don't fly
the building.
No, the Shard's different, isn't it? The Shard's real. This is a fake building, isn't it? No,
the main headquarters mentioned but never seen in the series is within the United Nations. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
It has the landing pad from Avengers.
But I think it's an actual building in London.
I mean, Unit is real. We've established that we are living in the timeline where the Doctor and Donna saved us, obviously.
Yeah.
So they get there. There's a nice shot of the TARDIS getting flown alongside. These are some of our big money shots.
Yeah.
And what we're going to get for a while is a Doctor leading humanity against an alien invasion of some type. And this has been, Tenet did some of these episodes. Did your fave do any of these episodes?
I don't know.
I mean, it's a relatively standard thing that everyone.
Tenet did a lot of them. Did a lot of them. And Eccleston.
Did he start them?
I don't know. I don't remember.
And is this from
because Eccleston's like in the future, right? He's got to send Rose back to the present, and then Rose comes back. So he is saving the universe, but he's not leading the Earth against the Daleks.
Right. This is the Doctor and humanity teaming up to save the day.
Yeah.
And it's this extra governmental organization. Which, do we know if they started in the old show?
Oh, yeah. Unit was in the old shows. And the third Doctor was confined to Earth, and they formed Unit. I mean, he was in the second Doctor episodes too, or the Unit was. But they formed Unit so he could be investigating aliens on Earth.
Okay.
So Kate Lethbridge Stewart, her father was the original head of Unit.
Okay. So what we get is sort of a nice, quick, we get to watch Donna be brilliant. We get to re-meet Shelley.
Amazing.
We get to Shirley, Kate Lethbridge Stewart. Who else is there? Some disposable guard 1 and 2 are there that get close-ups. They're the ones with lines.
And Mel is there.
And Mel is there, but that is a big reuniting.
Yes, that's a big reuniting. That was really great. Bonnie Langford's amazing.
Where did she start?
In the 80s with Colin Baker, I believe.
And so she is an old companion who has the Doctor's like, hey, whatever happened to you? And she's like, well, after you ditched me, I bummed around the galaxy with somebody else. They died and I came back to Earth.
Yeah.
She's really funny. She's a redhead. Now, this episode, we're going to talk a lot about how the doctor likes redheads, which is funny because I don't think it's ever been acknowledged before.
No.
And here they
No.
acknowledge it a bunch. The toy maker's like, wow, you really do. Um, and then the doctor quickly discovers uh, he isolates the sound signature of this thing that's in everybody's brain that's driving them mad. We get
Yes.
an object lesson when Kate takes off her blocking armband and she starts being shitty
Being
to people.
awful, really, really awful.
She becomes a Sky News commentator.
I hate to say that is like the heart of white people. Like, I don't think that she independently would think those things. I think whatever, but it's like every bad white person thought comes out in her when she takes her armband off.
Yep.
Whatever.
She goes back and votes the other way on Brexit. She runs down to the Tardis, flies back, and is like, I'm changing my vote. Okay. So John Cleese and Ringo Starr were right. You're not even British anymore. Okay, so then Donna realizes it's probably a musical thing, which then leads to them very quickly discovering it's the giggle from Stooky Bill's first TV broadcast.
Yes.
To which the doctor then discovers that every scream ever made by a human was embedded with the image of Stooky Bill.
Yes.
And his giggle. And now, because the South Koreans have put up a big satellite, that giggle is interconnected throughout the entire planet. Everywhere is online to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. And now everybody's got the giggle.
Yeah.
So they're going to go back in time to 1925 and see what's up. Very convenient that now the TARDIS is very on point for getting to places this episode.
Yeah.
Which is, it's weird. It's weird how the TARDIS works when there's a crisis. So they go back to 1925, and they're kind of like, the doctor's like, I mean, we know what happens when it goes on TV. We want to know where it came from. And they find the toy shop. Now, we forgot to mention the doctor sees the toy maker in the present. The toy maker is dressed up as a dancing clown in a top hat. So very...
More like a ringmaster.
It's the Joker from the 89 Batman.
Yes, exactly.
And so they go in, they bicker, banter. The toy maker starts throwing balls. He's juggling and then he starts throwing balls, but the amount of balls he's got in his hands never leaves. Yeah. Donna catches one of the balls.
And she's finally like, what the fuck? Like, they're doing this banter, the doctor and the toy maker, and Donna's finally like, cut the shit. What's happening? Tell me what you're doing.
And we get a nice flashback memory to when the doctor was the first doctor and the toy maker was Alfred from Batman 1989 in color, which I assume they weren't broadcasted. And so the toy maker's back and the doctor tries to send Donna to the TARDIS. And she's like, you never send me back to the TARDIS. And it's like, this is a good point. The doctor never really worries about the companion safety. Oh, speaking of companions, Donna mentions that they need to come up with a new term for that when she's talking to Mel, because it sounds like the doctor's some old man they wheel down to the sea and look at the seaside with, which was funny.
It was funny, but it was even funnier when she talks to Shirley and she's like, is that okay? And Shirley's like, not really.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Park him down at the...
Yeah.
That was funny. So I think we also get Kate offering Donna a job at UNIT. Which is amazing. It wraps up that storyline about how Donna can't hold down a job. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, UNIT is now apparently entirely...
former Doctor Who companions.
Exactly. Populated by former...
Why not? I mean, why not? Why not use them? If they get abandoned, they have all of this experience. So, yeah.
I mean, because most of them die, as we will talk about in a bit. So, Yeah, it shows up in a red wig. It's just really awkward. Okay. Let's see. So the toy maker is like, okay, this is the first game ever played. Cat
Ball.
ball. The
Ball.
second game ever played is hide and seek. And he runs into his back room. The doctor runs after and is like, Donna, don't come with me. Donna goes with him. And they're in endless hallways with doors that are mostly locked. He quickly explains to her that the toy maker, that when he was young, even though he's a billion years old, so
Yeah.
this was 60 years ago. But the joke is more when he was young, but he was the oldest guy playing the doctor or whatever. They don't really linger on that. It's more of a wink to your Whovians. I took the TARDIS out of the known universe. I took it to another dimension under the under universe, which I'm sure you can tell us all the science about that. No, okay.
Well, I listened to, the it's a 4-part serial. I listened to it. They don't, 3 of the parts are missing. But they have the audio. So they released them as audiobooks. So I listened to it yesterday, the day before. Because it was nice and tight and it got me to and from work. The thing about the old series is that this under universe, like all of this like sciencey stuff, they don't really explain. They're just like, we ended up in this alternate reality and the toy maker exists outside of time and space. Like, so we don't know, he's not really an alien, but he's not an alien, but he's in human form and he plays games, which humans also play. Like, there's not really a great explanation for how they got there. And where they actually are and what the toy maker is. I've got the Wikipedia page up and it doesn't even have any information. So,
but he's a elemental force of the universe.
Yes.
Which Doctor Who does not usually deal in. Because it's complete magic at that point. So they're running around these endless hallways. Donna's like, this is really fucking weird, man. Why is it all magic? And he's like, it's magic because the toy maker's magic.
Yeah.
They get separated, which is maybe the only like bump the episode has for a while, because I'm like, we just saw them get separated in like 2 episodes the exact same way. This is, come on, Russell T Davies. Don't find a different trope. And he's like, the only other trope I have is killing a woman. So I'm going to do this. And it's like, okay, well, running and getting trapped on other sides of doors or cutting the head off of someone.
The I'm already running scene, I laughed out loud. I love that so much.
So at this point, the doctor finds the guy who bought Stooky Bill, and he's hanging up on a wall encased in like cloth.
Yeah, it's unclear exactly what's happened to him.
We very quickly discover after Doctor Who takes him down, or not Doctor Who, the Doctor takes him down. And Doctor Who. They didn't do that in these. I'm very surprised that they didn't just
they didn't need to.
It's for new viewers. Are they trying to hide this from new viewers?
But they don't have any characters that don't know who he is. Everybody knows who he is.
Well, we'll see what they do in the Christmas. They got to do it. They got to get it over with.
They will.
Okay, because it's one of the big speed bumps of the show when they just stare dead into the camera and go, hey, we're so funny. We're British. Okay, so yes, he's been turned into a puppet. We get a shot of Neil Patrick Harris in, it doesn't matter. The world, he can control all matter. So he's puppeteering.
So he's puppeteering. It's like straight out of Nightmare on Elm Street. Is that the 3rd one?
Yeah.
He's like walking the guy out of the building and he like commits suicide. It's cutting the strings. It's nuts. It's exactly the same thing. Watch Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 again.
Okay. You've seen that, but not Beverly Hills Cop. Very interesting.
I love Freddy Krueger. What can I say?
I think we know what our next season is, folks. Okay. You think I'm kidding. So then we move on to Donna's adventure, which is awesome. Donna finds herself in a creepy little room And the doll, so now in the first scene, Neil Patrick Harris is shitty to the guy who buys Stooky Bill because the guy who buys Stooky Bill doesn't buy the whole family.
Right.
And so now Donna finds the other doll, the wife
The
doll,
wife, Stooky Sue.
Stooky Sue, who then recites a ominous poem to her about how the she's lost her husband to television. The babies have lost their father.
The
And
babbies.
and
Because she's got a very beautiful Scottish accent. It's gorgeous.
And the babbies that we saw in the first scene are descending around her. So we're getting scary
Ventriloquist dolls.
Ventriloquist doll, then scary baby dolls.
Yeah.
So we're doing some doll shit here. Donna responds by throwing the babies off of her, grabbing mom and saying, "Hi, I'm Donna and you're a Ghana," and then decapitates the doll and then threatens the babies, and they scurry away because you don't fuck with Donna Noble.
It was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. And then immediately she and the doctor team up. And is this where we get the recap?
Yes, they team back up. They're sitting somehow, a theater kind of converges around them. They're sitting in the front row, and the toy maker is doing his not ventriloquist, but what are those called?
Puppet show.
Yeah, he's doing a puppet show, but a marionette show. And reliving the doctor's companions' lives from
Amy Pondon.
From Amy Pondon, thank you.
With some big exceptions.
Yeah, with some big exceptions. And this is where we get the toy maker kind of ribbing the doctor for liking redheads.
Yep.
And for the first time, because it comes back again later with Mel. And I forget what happens. I forget the end of this. So he's reenacting their deaths. So it's Amy Pond, it's Clara, it's Bill. Is there anybody else? It's just those three, right?
No, then it cuts to the flux. And I was like,
okay.
I wonder if they filmed more and cut it down or something. Probably. Because the flux thing just seems really tacked on. Because we go from it being about the doctor failing the women he loves, basically. And every time he defends it. He says, well, Amy Pond's living forever in her last moment of life. And the toy maker's like, so that's okay.
Yeah.
And this is when I was like, oh God, I hope Emily was okay with Neil Patrick Harris, because we're going to have to fight if she wasn't. And then,
I mean, it's whatever. It wasn't bad. I thought he was going to be much, much worse.
Then, we go through that, and every time the doctor defends himself, he's like, it's okay. Well, it's okay. And I'd forgotten how Bill died. I forgot that they had also set that up that Bill could have been saved from this fate, and they did not do that. They just, I think they might have killed her over a two-parter. But then Donna is like, wait, is this all true? And the doctor's like, yeah. And then they do the flux, and they sort of, now last episode they talk about the flux, and they talk about the emotional effect it had on the doctor.
Yeah.
To the point that he was sad that real Donna, not alien or not end of the universe Donna, clone monster, didn't understand his emotions about the flux, where the doctor was indirectly responsible for the destruction of half the known universe or whatever.
Right.
It could have also just been that they could have instead turned to the camera and said, we're also sorry we made you watch the flux, viewer. And then the doctor's like, all right, well, let's play a game. And they're going to cut. So high card wins. And this is where, now I watched these on my really cool Rokid XR glasses. So I got like close-ups, and there's really good direction from Shania Button. This one is the best directed of the three, even when we get to the British can't direct action scenes to save their life scene. But the doctor loses, and the toy maker's like, Sucker. Donna accuses the toy maker of cheating, to which the doctor says no, that's the only thing he won't do is cheat, which is important later on.
Yeah.
And so doctor loses. He's like, toy maker's like, well, what am I going to do to you? And the doctor's like, well, now, hang on. We've been playing this game, the two of us. What's the biggest rule for two players playing games? Best two out of three. So,
And he recalls the previous episode. Like, I won last time. So 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3.
So now the
Tie.
doctor won in 1966. The toy maker wins in 1925. And so the toy maker says, let's make it 2023. And they go back to the future. This is the Donna saying,
Yes,
saying I'm already running, and then turning and running.
the theater starts collapsing, and they run out onto the street, and the theater collapses in on itself into a little game toy box, like ornate sort of Victorian toy box. As they go to the future, this is also where Donna's like, so you never told me about all them ladies. And the doctor's like, we've been too busy. And she's like, you're always too busy. Do you really not ever tell anybody about the other companions? And he's like, I mean, no, I don't ever tell anybody about the other companions.
So this has come up before. It came up, I think, with Martha. Was it with Martha Jones? Where, like, Martha was like, wait a minute, I'm not the first one. But it was in the guise of her being jealous of other women because she was in love with the doctor and it was unrequited and da-da-da-da-da. But this is going to have a very nice, like, full circle moment at the end when things happen and people cried. Maybe it was me, where the doctor can finally relax and admit that he loves these people.
So we missed it. There was also a line from the toy maker that references the master.
Oh, yeah.
When the master got... Okay, so at the end of last episode, when the doctor played the salt trick at the edge of the universe, that's what let the toy maker through dimensions.
In. Yeah.
And so before getting to Earth in 1925 to fuck with Stooky Bill and play proto-Nazi, the toy maker went around and messed with things. He played the master for a game, kicked the master's ass, and turned him into a gold tooth.
Yeah.
That's important for later, too.
And the special effects on that is awful. It's like a bunch of tiny little teeth, and it just flashes to the mouth and the tiny little teeth. And then later, like almost immediately, you see Neil Patrick Harris smiling, and he does not have a gold tooth, and his teeth are normal size. But there is a point when you see him with that tiny little teeth mouth and the gold tooth front and center. It's like way too many teeth. And they're tiny.
I did not notice that.
It was really, really glaring, and I could not stop thinking about it.
You and Neil, you're very experienced in Neil Patrick Harris's teeth. Gotcha. Okay. So then they get back to the future. Which is weird. It's like they just left, but they managed to get back to right where they just left.
Yeah.
Funny how the TARDIS can do that. We also get no commentary on them having just gotten back into the TARDIS. Like the TARDIS, if the TARDIS is going to, we'll find out later. The TARDIS is having some changes. We're in a transition period for the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get back in the future. The toy maker, doctor's trying to explain that things are bad. He's giving everybody a algorithm to search for atmospheric disturbances that would imply where the toy maker entered our universe.
Yeah.
Which is weird because the toy maker doesn't say that he's stuck on Earth at the beginning. It implies that the toy maker will imply that he stays on Earth because he likes how shitty the people are and how abusive we are to each other.
Yeah.
But he didn't start here. He started fucking around with Supernova and was like, you know what's more fun? Encouraging white people to be more racist. That's what's more fun. So there's a scene in Unit where we get something that the first time it really bothered me. The second time it didn't bother me as much because we had talked about Neil Patrick Harris singing and how his comeback, at least in some way, I thought was from his Joss Whedon singing thing. We get this sound in the background of Spice Up Your Life playing, and the doctor's like, can somebody turn off that music? But no, it's the toy maker has arrived in 2023. And he does a musical number while lip syncing Spice Up Your Life. And all I could think was, why isn't he fucking singing Spice Up Your Life? Like, I'm sorry. I also watched for the first time ever Moulin Rouge all the way through last night. And I don't like bad lip syncing. So that's all I'll say about that. Also, auto tune might not be the worst thing that ever happened. Okay, moving on to
but the musical number. So during the musical number, he's dancing around the room. Kate instructs her soldiers to shoot at him. The bullets turn into rose petals. He's dancing with Bonnie Langford, aka Mel, and spins her around so quickly that she falls on the ground. He dances with Kate Lethbridge Stewart, smashes her into a wall. He like turns some soldiers into balloons.
That's what he does first, yeah.
Die. Oh yeah, they do that first.
They die.
And they end up dying. The lip syncing didn't bother me as much.
It didn't bother me the second time. The first time I was just like, Neil Patrick Harris can actually do this. Why aren't you actually just doing this?
Yeah, I was actually, I got onto the IMDb page. I was surprised, kind of, that they had a dancing double for him because he is a theater guy,
right?
And whatever. He also played the MC in in Cabaret. So that's the German accent thing. That was the first thing I thought. Did he ever play the MC? Yes, he did. And he does play it with like a little MC creepiness. But I thought that it was fun.
That's just a German accent.
Yeah. But I thought that the dancing was fun and it was campy, but like not too campy.
Not too campy.
He wasn't winky. It was like Spice Up Your Life, which is a super fun like girl power song, and yet you still get that he's a bad guy.
Yep. It was very cool. Yeah. But then this is also where he's like, oh, you do like the redheads, don't you, doctor?
Yeah, because he meets Mel.
And then he disappears into the floor. The doctor's like, he's got to be somewhere in the building. And so we start that plot. Then immediately they're like, oh shit, he's outside.
Yeah.
With the giant space laser that we forgot to mention. The giant space
laser that we forgot to mention.
They have a giant space laser to shoot down the Korean satellite.
That is broadcasting the giggle. Or so they think.
It doesn't matter. Or at this, we don't get to see what regular life is like. And because it's Doctor Who, we also don't know what the repercussions are, like, of the giggles effects on the world. Like, is that going to play in, or is it going to be slowly retconned out?
We don't see how it's going to play out. The only thing we do see is how it's impacting the world right now.
Right.
And like in the before scene that we didn't mention, there's like, the government's gone mad. And they show some fake prime minister talking about how he doesn't give a shit about people. And some, again, more social commentary. And Donna's like, oh, that's no different. And then you get a newscaster talking about the little armband thing that is preventing people from reacting to the giggle. And it's like an anti-vax thing. I mean, it's very clearly like, they're trying to control your mind. They're trying to implant chips in you. I'm anti whatever this thing is.
Russell T Davies is like, okay, all you TERFs could fuck off. Now all of these people who were like, well, I'll even watch it even though I'm a little TERFy or transphoby. But now he's just like, nah. I don't want you either. You can fuck right off too. Like,
if you think there's some government conspiracy to control your mind, you can fuck right off. Yeah.
You can fuck right off. And it's very nice. I mean, like, the social commentary is forced.
Yes. It always has been, though. It always has been.
But it's like sincere. Like, Yeah, so it's a weird thing, and they don't do it too much. Like, we don't dwell on this because really quick, we're about to go outside
Yeah.
for our big twist. So Neil Patrick Harris is now in a gunner's outfit. And so he and the doctor argue, and then the doctor's like, look, man, instead of hanging out on Earth, why don't you be my new companion? We'll go fucking check out the stars together. Like,
And we'll
we'll
play
go
games and we'll do all this fun stuff. Like,
and
but this is after even like, look at this power you have. Look at this control that you have. Look at
yes,
what good you can do. And he's like,
that's
I
what
don't
he
want to fucking
says.
do good. I don't
That's
want to
what
fucking do
the
it.
doctor's just like, why are you so small? And this is
Yeah.
another one where Russell
Looking
T
down the
Davies
camera.
staring turns to the camera, and he's like, no, I am actually talking about you.
Yeah.
Yes, you. Yes.
Yeah.
You.
Ew.
Why don't you help people? And Neil
Yeah.
Patrick Harris is like, because I'm a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Because
And
I'm a
then
bad guy. Duh.
duh.
This is what bad guys do.
And then the doctor's like, let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's go, like, travel the stars and play games everywhere. And then Neil Patrick Harris is like, that's kind of a good idea, but humans are really shitty to each other, and I really like it. I really like watching them emotionally abuse one another, or just, physically abuse one another.
And
so
manipulate each other, play mind games, like, I love this place.
I love it when somebody ghosts somebody or what. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
And then the doctor's like, well, we still need to play our game. And at this point, the doctor's also tried to get the peanut gallery of soldiers, of red shirts, and his supporting cast. He tried to get them back inside off of the Quinjet helipad.
Yeah.
And Neil Patrick Harris is like, no, they get to watch. They get to watch this. So they're all out there. There's stuff where he's shooting at the feet of the soldiers to make them dance, which was like, we could have cut this.
Yeah.
But then he's like, you know what? I played against one doctor. I've played against this doctor. I want to play against the third doctor. Those are the rules you set up, doctor. So he shoots the doctor with the super powerful laser that does absolutely no physical damage to the doctor.
No.
So
we get the regeneration energy coming out of his face. Mm-hmm. We get Donna coming up and being like, do whatever you want to me. He's not dying alone. And then Bonnie Langford comes up the other side, like, I'm gonna be there for him too, even though it's been 40 years. Whatever, it's cool. They stand on either side of him while he's regenerating, telling him lovey things, and the regeneration energy goes away. And everyone's like, what? And he's like, it feels different. It feels different. Pull. So luckily he's got one redhead on either side. They pull on either side of him, and we get our new doctor, played by Ncuti Gatwa, who is incredible. Well, whatever. We'll get to that. Before we get to the rest of the story, I'm so happy that we got introduced to him before the end of the episode. Like, it wasn't just regeneration, old doctor's gone, now that's the new doctor, we'll see what happens. We get to experience him before he has his own adventure.
Yes, it is like a pilot for him.
Yes.
And so... And you checked on how to pronounce his name?
I did.
Okay. Emily will be saying the 15th Doctor's name because I am not going to butcher it. Okay, so pulls out the new Doctor. He is a incredibly attractive young black man. He likes great smile, grins at everybody. He's like, hey, this is by generation. We've never done this before. Now, a few times in this episode, they talk about how the toy maker has brought this sort of reality distorting energy with him.
Yes.
But they never, for all the science talk in this, they never really specify, even though it's the most obvious thing in these scenes, where by generation's possible this time because the toy maker's changing the laws of reality or something, right? Like, instead, so there's some
throwaway comment from one of the doctors, I forget which one, that's like, I thought bi-generation was just a myth.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't think it was actually real.
But it is, because the toy maker is here.
Yeah.
Okay. So that, even though they sort of walk that back in a way at the end, okay, not exactly, but they add context that confuses the interdimensional magic residuals because they like overdo it. So, because Russell T Davies is too clever, which is fine. Like, that's the other thing is this is a very extra Doctor Who. That's my read on it after the second time. Is that like he is really like amping it up here. He's taking it up a notch for the new audience. So we then get the doctors challenging Neil Patrick Harris. Now, what we're going to get in these scenes is we're going to get David Tennant saying something or the new doctor saying something. They're very careful to give the new doctor a lot of agency while not centering it, while keeping him supporting to David Tennant.
Yeah.
And David Tennant's antagonist, nemesis relationship with the Toymaker, except the new doctor also has that and like is able to think in that context that David Tennant's not, because David Tennant's not the new doctor yet. Okay. So then they play a game of catch where we get the laziest directed action sequence you can ever imagine. Basically, they give the actors the ball and the actor throws his arm back and says, "Look, I caught it."
Yeah.
And it's like they just don't have action choreography in the UK. I mean, it's possible that all of their action choreographers were over from the EU and they kicked them all out. Maybe that's what happened. Who knows? The British suck. But it's charming enough because of Tennant and the new Doctor and Neil Patrick Harris. But at some point, it does. You are just like, oh, they didn't do anything for this action scene. This is very lazy.
There's some like jumping up in the air. At one point, David Tennant, like 15, like kneels down and David Tennant jumps off his back to catch a ball because they're playing ball. Did we mention that the game that they challenge him against is catch? Yeah. And so there's a little bit, but not a lot. Not a lot.
We never see the ball in air. Like, that's too hard.
Well, they're throwing it so hard. How could you see it?
The problem with that, however, is even if Time Lords are really good at playing catch, wouldn't an interdimensional paragod be even better? Okay, but then the ball goes over. Neil Patrick Harris missed it.
Mm-hmm.
And he just loses. And the Doctor, David Tennant, gets to banish him from existence. And he goes into his little box. Now, this makes no sense because if you're banished from existence, why do you need a physical representation?
I think that this is like the rules of the Toymaker. This is part of the Toymaker's universe because he creates the games, he creates the rules for the games. And so in losing, he goes two-dimensional. He like flattens out, which I thought was a pretty good
just like his toy shop did in the past.
Yes. He kind of collapses and folds up into himself, and they put him in that little vintage box that the Doctor brought back from the 1925.
And they're going to go put it in the deepest, darkest vault covered in salt, which I might not be.
Salt brought him into the universe.
Yeah.
So maybe salt will keep him inside the box. I don't know. We
then get Donna talking to David Tennant Doctor. Now, in the background, we're going to see 15 like bonding with Donna and Mel because he knows these people, which he brings up later. And so they're having like a great time. It's not quite, there is actually. Mel is like, God damn, you're hot. And David Tennant's like, still hot.
Still. And that was really cute.
No, like, not still.
Yeah.
Sure. It's like when Sarah Douglas and Valerie Perrine were interviewed about Henry Cavill, and they were like, well, Christopher Reeve was really cute. but I want to fuck Henry Cavill. Like, oh yeah.
Fair
Uh,
enough.
so yeah, and they basically bond a little bit, and Donna's like, I figured out why you came back
Yeah.
to this face. This face came back so you could come home to me. And that's what you're gonna do. And David Tennant starts getting very teary. And then
And Ncuti has this scene with Tennant where he's like, you're tired, you're always running, you've got the weight of all of these lives of the Flux on your back. It's okay to stop. He gives him permission to stop and grieve.
they hug, which
David
is
Tennant falls into like the nape of his neck, crying. And Shooty's like hugging him and telling him it's okay. I lost my mind. I lost my mind. And there's this thing later, but only shortly later, because this is literally the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Where you know, there's this kind of banter like, oh, old man, blah, 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 blah. And Donna's like, no, you're the old man. You're the oldest doctor. You're 15. You came after him. So technically you're older. But in this moment where they're hugging, he is taking on that like fatherly caregiver role. Like, oh.
From this point on, basically, we're just going to get David Tennant showing off all the acting ability.
Yeah.
That he
for the
never got
next
to show
5
on
minutes.
Doctor Who. Yeah.
For the next 5 minutes of the show. Yeah.
So they go down to the Tardis and they're like, well, what the fuck are we going to do? I can't give up the Tardis. And the new doctor's like, I just thought of something.
What if this is another one of those things where it's like, what if this premise is true and it ends up being true? Yeah.
Well, no, it's different from that because he's like, what if there's still some Toymaker magic left over?
Yeah.
And then he gets out a giant mallet, which is not part of that. That's just part of the TARDIS, has a giant mallet in the floor.
Yeah.
And he goes out and he says, I won too.
So I get a prize.
Toymaker, I get a prize too. And I'm like, so it doesn't matter if the magic is residual. The laws of the universe are
the laws of the game. Yeah.
The laws of the game. And so he hits the side of the TARDIS, which then shoots out another one. And there are now 2 TARDISes. David Tennant goes in to check out the new one. He says, oh, look, there's a jukebox in this one. He goes to look in the other one. We get no shot of the other one, which is important because while he's in the other one, new Doctor runs into jukebox TARDIS and starts taking off. Doctor's looking around the new one, or the original one.
The original one, yeah.
And then goes in to the other one, is like, you were going to leave without saying goodbye. They share some hugs with Donna's there too. Nobody else gets to come in either to see the new Doctor, which was
and this is where we get the old man, young man sort of clarification from Donna. Thank you, Donna.
Yep.
And Ncuti says something like, all right, youngster, I love you. Get out. Yep. It was so cute.
It was so cute. And so new Doctor's off on adventures. The Doctor gets to watch the TARDIS disappear and is like, I don't get to see this very often. Yeah. And then we are going to cut to the Noble House, or whatever Sean's last name is.
Temple. Remember?
Temple Noble House. That's right.
Yeah.
Because Donna Temple sounds like a whatever. And so they're just having dinner on the picnic table. It's the Doctor, Donna's mom, Rose, and Sean. And I was like, Jesus, they couldn't fucking get a still picture of Wilf to put in the background. I mean, this is Disney. Don't they own didn't they buy his digital rights to his soul? Didn't they buy his soul? He's British. He doesn't get to be in.
They didn't have time to get an AI representation.
So, but yeah, so we just get the Doctor talking about how like he's telling
stories. He's telling stories, and you know, everybody's laughing, and they do this weird thing where that I hate, where it's like people don't know how to react, so they're like, "But is it true? It didn't really happen."
Well, it was just mom.
I hate that shit though. I hate it. But whatever.
Does it even matter?
No. And then there's a reference to Wilf. Oh, he's off shooting badgers or whatever.
Moles. He's shooting moles.
Moles.
Except, and we hear some shots, except the doctor has given the moles force fields because he loves the moles.
Can I just say something? They've already established that Wilf was living in a home, that Kate Lethbridge Stewart got him a space in some fancy old folks home. They could have just left him out of it and just not done that. I thought it was kind of hacky, and it just made it that much more sad. I don't know.
So then we get Mel comes over.
Oh, Mad Auntie Mel.
Mad Auntie Mel.
Oh.
The doctor's like, I'm living. I got my best friend. I got my annoying evil stepmother or evil mother-in-law. I got my brother-in-law. I got my niece, and I got Mad Auntie Mel. And then Wilf's off somewhere, and he's got a family. And he had talked to Donna before about how, and she has mentioned, and this has been a recurring thing of people inviting the doctor in, and I think Tennant probably ran off on somebody at some point.
Martha's family.
They invite him in for
a meal,
just to hang out. They just want to spend time with the doctor. The presumption being that we have saved the universe together. We can at least fucking chill out and
we can break bread together. Yeah.
Break bread. And so he's like, it's too fucking boring. And she's like, I did it. And he's like, weren't you fucking bored? And she's like, yeah, I was. But then you realize real life's even fucking worse, even more hectic.
Yeah.
And so she asks, and we establish without showing it that the doctor has taken Rose to see Mars. He's taken Mel to the Gilded Age to hang out for a second. So there are still David Tennant Doctor adventures happening for when
I'm waiting for the audio adventures.
When you get your audio adventures. So
I mean, they're just setting it up so perfectly. And David Tennant just sits in a room, probably in his house, and reads an audiobook. It'll be fantastic.
So, but then we get this scene where he and Donna are talking about it, and they both get very teary-eyed about how he realizes that he never knew what he was running around for, but now he does. He was running around so he could relax and be among all these people that he loves.
Well, but more than that, he's running around for these people, for these moments, right? It's like you're protecting these are the people you're protecting.
Yes. And so he now gets to just enjoy. And she says to him, you don't have to stay forever. And he's like, I mean, it seems like I might. I'm going to be here longer than you are, Donna, because you're going to age out and die, and I'm going to turn into an AI clip in 2050 on Disney Plus 2.0. And then we cut to the new doctor running around the TARDIS, still hasn't put on pants. We forgot to mention he's in.
Oh yeah, he's in his underoos
and
his shirt. He's got a white button-down shirt, and he's got David Tennant's tie untied around his neck. They split.
Yeah. Which also means that David Tennant's been running around commando in the last scene.
I didn't think of that.
Okay. And then so he sets the TARDIS and off he goes, destination Christmas, because the British have state religion and don't worry about being inclusive. Not just
everybody celebrates Christmas. Religion. Everybody celebrates Christmas. And it's more the commercial holiday than the Jesus. But I also agree that it's not very inclusive.
So off he goes, and he will be back on Christmas. And they have figured out a way to keep David Tennant and Donna around for potential other Christmas specials, for potential cameos, for miniseries. They're like, nothing's in the works now. And it's like, because David Tennant's filming something right now. Once he's bored and once those ratings lag a little, David Tennant will be back.
But I think if Russell T Davies kind of keeps his formula, which is a much simpler storyline from Chibnall, from Moffat, and maybe a story arc over the series, I think the ratings will be much better.
Well, the ratings, except for racism, will be much better because say his name,
Shooty Gatwa.
I'd like you to tell me who's got more inherent screen charm than him.
I have no idea. He's very charming. I
Um,
know that, and I can cut this if you want me to. I know that you were worried of anybody following David Tennant because David Tennant is
yes, because
handsome,
David,
charming, a fantastic actor. This kid's got it.
this kid's got it, and that's why he came in
Yeah,
early. He
yeah,
came in early for them to go, don't worry, you're gonna love watching this guy.
yes,
I
yeah.
think, like, in terms of chemistry, we are talking about like Denzel Washington, Hugh in the '80s, Hugh Jackman in 2000. Like, it's off the charts
He's
from
amazing.
jump.
Yeah.
It's a delight to watch. I
And
can't.
watching the two of them together,
So good.
so good.
So
And watching him team up with Donna. So their dynamic is
good.
very different than the doctor or than David Tennant and Donna. They're like mom and dad taking
Yeah,
care of David Tennant doctor. Oh my God.
with age, it's
Mwah, beautiful. So
just
good.
wonderful.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yes. So, speaking of, we need to talk about what's coming next, Emily.
Yeah, what is coming next, Andrew?
Well, they didn't kill Donna.
They did
They
not
didn't
kill Donna.
brainwash her.
So we do not have to finish watching
We don't have to finish
Going to
watching
Extremes.
Going to Extremes.
As
Do you want
per the
me
game you set.
as per the rules of the game?
Yeah.
However, the last we discussed this, you were like, maybe I'll marathon it.
Maybe I will.
Do
You can't,
you want to
you
do
can't stop
that
me.
with your life, Emily? I feel like you need to be inspired by the message of this episode
Yeah.
to let yourself regenerate and to
Okay.
release some of the negative toxins,
Yes.
which are going to extremes. So do we want to come back?
No, we're not going to go back to Going to Extremes.
We're not going to go back. So season 10 will be something that I guess we're going to think of in the next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So join us next week when we discuss something.
Yeah.
I have something in mind, which we will talk about.
All right.
Because since it's my choice, because you picked Going to Extremes, I don't want you to forget that.
Didn't you pick this though? So it's back to me.
If you want.
No.
Okay.
You get to pick. I do not want that responsibility after Going to Extremes.
I'll pick something good. Okay. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed our little break. I certainly did.
Oh yes.
We will see you.
Recommended.
Yes, we will see you next time when we start season 10. It's gonna be baller. Okay, Andrew, see you in Television Land.
See you in Television Land, Emily.